I never thought I was going to lose this much money, this fast.
Why? Huh? Why? Because you've never seen people lose money going into business with Trump? Is that why? I can't think of anybody that I would more think I would lose money going into business with, other than maybe Elon Musk. Hey, shout out to all of the subscribers and members here on the channel. I am Reese Waters, and this is Street Politics. Now, you probably remember the last time we checked on the Trump voting farmer and how he was faring under the new administration.
But some folks who aren't feeling Trump's optimism right now are American farmers, and they are stuck in the middle of all of this.
Frank, who did you vote for president?
Mr. Trump.
Right?
Trump. Mr. Trump.
If the election were today, Frank, would you vote for Donald Trump?
No way. Couldn't happen. No.
You voted for President Trump. So now, in this moment, you say you're in a free fall. What is your message to him?
So I'm off the Trump train. Where I'm going for now is I got to protect my business.
A wheat farmer who says he's lost $400,000 since Trump took office.
I think there was a lot of people who voted for him that want to stay loyal to him, but it's going to get to the point where financially, if it's between supporting the president or losing your family farm.
You voted for the president?
Yes, I did.
And do you support these policies which might be hurting farmers like you?
Right now, we're the ones that are taking the hit.
I think he's sort of backstabbing the main people who got him into office in the Midwest, and he just left us down.
But farmers are really just the starting point when it comes to this food aid. They're the ones that grow these crops here in Kansas and all over the country. Primarily wheat and grain sorghum here in Kansas are the main products that are used in this food aid. They then sell that grain to their local grain cooperative elevators or to a grain merchandiser. And then USAID would go in and put out contracts for bid to get that grain and then take it to these ports and then move it out to those places in need all across the world. And of course, when USAID was frozen last week, that all stopped. That came to a screeching halt. And grain sorghum farmers, especially here in Kansas, were the first to get hit with that because the USAID program, Food for Peace program, was the main direct market for their grain.
Also, everybody says in the comments, Project 2025, didn't you read that? That's his platform. From my understanding, that wasn't his platform. That's not what he's running on. And I never thought I would be on the political side of TikTok because it's definitely not something I'm interested in. I'm interested in the farm side of TikTok. And it really sucks that I can't get engaged with the farm side of TikTok. But politics, everybody gets worked up about it. But Project 2025, I did not read Project 2025 because from my understanding, that's not what he was running on. That's what I was told, and that's the information that I had.
Well, keep in mind, all of that was just after the first month. That was before we even got to the prospect of tariffs. Why don't we check and see how they're doing? Why don't we?
We want to have as many bees as we can to make honey.
At Secret Garden Bees, a honey farm in Linden, North Carolina, farmer Jim Hartman has one eye on his bees and the other on his bank account.
So his bee farm is called Secret Garden. Yeah, we're gonna have to change that. Ain't gonna be no secret bee farm. Yeah, I'm gonna need an elevated neon sign, and I'm gonna need you to advertise from everywhere within 100 miles, like south of the border. Ain't no secret bee farm.
Ideally, we'll get 100 pounds of honey per hive per year.
How do you feel about paying more for things?
Well, if you find someone who says, I'm happy about paying more for something, you point them out to me.
Point them out to me first. Yeah, point them out to me first, because I got a shop at my website, so point them out to me first. Also, whatever's going on right now in the country is not my fault. He has culpability. I do not. So holla at your boy.
People who already couldn't afford fresh vegetables, who couldn't already afford to put good food on their plate, are the ones that are really going to be hurt by this.
Did you ever think when you voted for President Trump that things were going to cost you more and you were going to lose money?
I never thought I was going to lose this much money, this fast.
Why? Huh? Why? Because you've never seen people lose money going into business with Trump? Is that why? Huh? You were waiting for him to hit 20 bankruptcies? Why would you have not thought you were going to lose this much money going into business with Trump? The man has a decades-long business record. I can't think of anybody that I would more think I would lose money going into business with, other than maybe Elon Musk, of course. I also find it odd. You talked about people who can't afford to put fresh fruits and vegetables on the table, because back in election time, during the election cycle, Kamala had a whole plan. She had ideas for how to uplift the working class and the middle class. He talked a lot. What was the plan, though? And somehow, now we're on the other side of it, and we're shocked.
Jim is a Republican who voted for Donald Trump 3 times.
How do you feel about your vote for Donald Trump now?
Well, I feel like perhaps I should have considered some other options.
You think? You think? Yeah. But if he would have won the 4th time, you would just go ahead and, I didn't have time to consider no other options. I guess I got to vote for him again. You think perhaps you should have looked at some other options? So what you're telling me is that you didn't look at any other options. So the man came in 2016, you decide to give him a chance. And then after everything you saw, you decide to vote for him again in 2020. And then post the felonization of Trump and everything we've seen in the last 4 years, you didn't look at any other options. Does his vote count the same as mine?
Jim is a Republican who voted for Donald Trump 3 times.
How do you feel about your vote for Donald Trump now?
Well, I feel like perhaps I should have considered some other options.
Among other things, Jim imports packaging supplies for his honey, so he's paying real close attention to the tariffs Trump just put in place.
We just bought our year's supply of bottles from Taiwan and our year's supply of corks from Portugal about 3 weeks ago. So that would have been, another $5,000 or $6,000 out of my pocket.
Which is partly why he's repairing instead of replacing this 40-year-old forklift.
The cost of equipment has just gone through the roof to buy anything like that because it just would be cost prohibitive.
So let me get this straight. You saw the writing on the wall when it came to the tariffs, when it came to importing parts for your equipment, and you considered other options. Yet in 8 years of Trump, you considered no other options. Is that what you're telling me?
He's also holding off on improvements around the farm.
Well, we're not going to hire any more people, that's for sure.
It's more than just the tariffs. For the past 2 years, Jim has been selling honey to the federal government, which then provides it to schools and food banks. But after Donald Trump took office, the USDA cut those programs suddenly as part of the federal government's effort to streamline spending.
For a lot of other local farmers around here, it was a major source of reliable revenue. For me, it's going to cost me around $150,000 a year.
$150,000?
Yeah, roughly 50% of my revenue.
Now, you're going to hear that, and some of you will feel bad. I just want you to check out something that we put in the last Farmers FAFO video. Yeah. About the last time that Trump was in office. What happened to the farmers of America?
The last time Donald Trump was president, over 100,000 farms went belly up in America. So here he runs for president again, and what do you farmers do? Yeah, you vote for him again. And I don't understand why, but it's one of those cases where you effed around, and now you're going to find out again.
And yet you considered no other options. Even when they were talking about taking a wrecking ball to the government, and you had a government contract and you still considered no other options. You know what I mean? Stuff like this, consequences should visit certain people first. You know what I mean? Just, almost like a priority bus situation.
That's a huge hit.
That's a massive hit.
Not big enough. Apparently not big enough.
Not far from Jim's farm, we found other Trump supporters who give the president high marks on tariffs. How do you feel about the tariffs?
Well, I feel like for years we've been getting ripped off, and why not make it fair? 0-0. And I think Trump was upfront about it. He said we're going to hurt some now.
I think some of the countries they're already starting to come around. It's going to be good. I really believe that.
You have faith in Trump?
Yes, I do.
I think he's doing the right thing. In order for us to get back where we need to be, he needs to get the money somewhere, and they're charging us. Why not charge them?
Why didn't you ask where they get the information from? Why? Well, that's what I needed to know. Why you didn't ask exactly how they are informed about what Trump is? Why you didn't ask the big? I mean, come on. So just so I'm clear, you guys are good with trusting Trump to take care of American workers, right? Even though he didn't take care of his own workers, that's why he got all the lawsuits when he was in business. So he didn't take care of his own workers, but you want him to take care of American workers and the current state of the economy be damned. Even though y'all argued that was the reason why you chose to vote for Trump in the first place, because you didn't want to admit to your sexism and racism. That's what you're forcing me to believe right now.
Back at Jim's farm, though, still plenty of worry. He says raw honey is considered a luxury good, similar to organic vegetables. As prices rise,
I don't know what that's going to do to consumer spending.
I do. I know exactly what it's going to do to consumer spending. In fact, I don't even walk around with my wallet in my pocket no more. I keep that bad boy at home under the bed and give myself $2 for walk around spending money rations like I'm a 7-year-old. That's where I'm at.
Trump paused the majority of the tariffs for 90 days after we'd left Jim's farm. Jim told us by phone, it's flip-flopped so many times you can't take it to the bank. Who knows what it will be next week.
Maybe we should have considered some other options. Maybe we should have considered some other options. And by the way, to the three elderly folks that had so much faith in Trump because, they've been ripping us off. How's the flip-flopping taste? How does that taste? Because his commitment to rectifying things for the American worker changes every Tuesday. So, you know what I mean? You might want to flip-flop your excuses in defense of Trump, because that one only works half the time.
Adding, it seems like he's heard the American people.
How? Huh? How does it? How does it seem like he's heard the American people? When have you seen him react to anything that the American people have had to say other than right before election time? Now we're full of concepts and plans. But other than that, when have you seen him ever react? They are telling everybody who's opposing their representatives at the town halls that they are paid agitators, throwing them at George Soros. And by the way, those numbers must be soaring. George Soros be broke by now. I mean, really, they be broke by now, unless those protesters are getting way below minimum wage. We probably need to look into that. I need to know when you have ever seen him hear the American people outside of a pre-election cycle. This man didn't even listen to his doctor when he told him don't eat McDonald's. This man didn't listen to none of his wives when they said, why don't you stay home tonight? This man didn't listen to his barber when he said, well, I don't know what his barber told him, but he definitely didn't tell him leave the house like that.
All of this volatility and uncertainty brought on by the trade war that we were just talking about. You know, you've got China announcing it's raising retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods from 84% to 25%. That coming after President Trump hiked the rate of Chinese goods, the rate on Chinese goods coming into America from 104% now to 145%. All of that, creating so much uncertainty, is having a real and immediate impact on businesses, big and small, across the country. One small business owner joined us on the show just yesterday, describing how the daily chaos and the changes in policy have left her with no good options.
It's hard to make a decision. You know, we had an idea yesterday after the announcement of, well, maybe we can export to Australia, repackage the products, and then re-import them from there. But because policy changes every 36 hours or so, I don't want to make that decision and make that move only for something else to change in just a couple more days. I'm paralyzed. I can't even make a decision right now.
That is called unstable. Yeah, that is called unstable. It's a shame that we didn't have an indicator that stability might be an issue. That's stability and consistency. It's crazy how these issues popped up out of nowhere.
And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so, that would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border?
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there, and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets.
I've heard the word complex from a couple farmers actually as well. It's already a complicated situation, and now it's becoming even more complex. I mean, you're, I believe, a sixth-generation farmer, farming with your brother and cousins. How does this moment feel for you?
Well, you know, we never have, going back to 2018. We really haven't recovered from the tariff trade wars back then, and you know we were probably 40% higher on soybean prices back then, and the farm economy in general was a lot better back then.
I'm sorry, did you say 2018? 2018. Hey, can you grab that encyclopedia? Yeah, look up. Yeah, who was president in 2018? The same? Really? Wow. He gained some weight.
So you go forward to now with what we are, and you know, a lot tighter farm economy, and complex, and adding these tariffs to it, it makes things really, really difficult. You know, a fear that we have, if this continues into into the fall or even into next year, there's a potential that, there'll be some farms go out of business. You could have the next generation not want to come back or not able to come back just because of the economies or the farm situation in general.
Ding, 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 ding. Ah, yes, we have a winner. Tell him what he's won. Huh? They put a tariff on the gifts? All right, well, you're right about that. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's the point. Just like what you saw with the stocks and everybody flipping out and then they bought the dip and all the money that they made. Watch.
And adding these tariffs to this, there's just no room for error. But personally, in our operation in the state of Ohio last year, we were in extreme drought, and we roughly had half of a soybean crop and a corn crop last year. So in our area, it's feeling even a little bit more. Having less of a commodity sale and these lower prices, and now we're throwing the tariffs on top of it. Yeah, we urge the administration to to quickly couple the announcement with some negotiations to address the tariff and non-tariff barriers with the U.S. exports. We want to, and we're thankful for the 90-day grace period that we got to help some of the other countries come to the table and negotiate with the president.
You mean to help get your affairs in order? You mean that 90-day grace period to help get your affairs in? I mean, that's how I would take it.
Before any more reciprocal tariffs comes on for those other countries, and also with China, let's get to the table and get some things done. Maybe introduce the phase 2 trade deal on this, just so we don't have this prolonged suffering for the U.S. ag economy. And even with that, it even goes to the, it's not only the ag economy, but it's the rural economy as well. For every dollar we spend, it kind of rolls out probably 4, 5, 6 times in our local rural economy. So as a whole, if you don't have a strong farm economy, it usually then goes on down into your rural economy as well.
Now, I will say this, as much as I absolutely feel like the writing was on the wall, and yes, Secret Garden, you might have considered some other options. The third time around, you might have considered some other options. As much as I feel like that is the case, I do know that not everybody is in that particular boat, and I understand the needs and concerns in rural America and the fact that those have not been addressed. Why you thought he was the guy to address it is a case we'll be litigating for quite some time, though.
There's something wrong in this country telling people it is okay to work 3 jobs, not see your kids, not see your loved ones, not take a vacation, and God forbid you get sick, okay? And I still got a job at home because I'm a mother. Because let's not forget, I don't get a day off. And I got to figure all that out. How are we going to eat? How are we going to pay rent? How are we going to pay the utility bills? That every single thing went up after COVID. Not one thing stayed the same except salaries. The only thing that stayed the same in this country is the minimum wage. Even though everything else went up, there is no scarcity. It is how do we pit people against each other so they're too distracted to see everything that I'm too addicted to consuming. And how much profit I'm making, and more profit, how many more houses one individual can have, how many yachts can one individual have, regardless of whether I am a female, male, whatever. I am a human being first. With what conscience are you criminalizing poverty? Right. And it's not going to stop just in the United States. The poor of the world, not just this country, are fed up. And let's not leave out rural communities. I live in Haines City, Polk County, Florida, okay? But do you think that the poor in rural communities have transportation? They don't. There's absolutely not even a sidewalk to walk on because I am giving the message of stay poor, stay hidden, and die silently, okay? If I get a job, how do I get to that job?
But all this time, we've been talking to the farmers and hearing their complaints and their pleas. I feel like something was missing. I feel like I haven't heard from everybody. You know what I mean? I feel like some groups have been left unaddressed.
Hey, one more thing about that farm thing. Those farmers complaining about how the Trump's trade war is hurting farms. And not just China, even though China no longer buys U.S. beef, that's gone to Brazil. They no longer buy U.S. soybeans. They don't buy a bunch of other agricultural products from us because they can source them elsewhere. And these farmers are all over these apps whining and crying that they didn't think it would hurt them. And please, Mr. Trump, I voted for you 3 times, and all this kind of bootlicking kind of BS. The other thing about that is, like I said in my other video, there's a particular relationship black people and farms in this country, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. The other thing is, do you remember during the Biden-Harris administration, their administration worked out a settlement with black farmers to pay them back pay for excluding them from bailout money that they were entitled to. The money only went to white farmers, and so black farmers, that's the way it is in this country, had to sue to get their fair share, and after years of court wrangling in the courts and everything, it was finally settled and black farmers were going to get their due. And you know why they didn't get their due? Because white farmers sued to block the government settlement that they had made with black farmers. And white farmers sued saying that the white farmers were being discriminated against for not getting some of the black settlement money. The black settlement money was because only white farmers got some of the initial bailout money, not black farmers. That's how twisted it is. So to the white farmers online whining about loss of business, threats to having their farms shut down and shut off, I say, fare thee well, good sirs. Fare thee well. You got what you got. You get what you get. You don't pitch a fit. You voted for Donald Trump, and you know what? He is working you over because the big conglomerates, some I hear are owned, I've read are owned by J.D. Vance or his companies, are about to buy up your land for pennies on the dollar. And you're going to be one picking those blueberries for $11 an hour, 7 days a week, for 10 hours a day. Literally, how you like them apples?
Have you noticed that there's one group that has not made any noise or made videos complain about Trump's policies hurting them or their business? Black farmers. How many videos have you seen of black farmers making videos going, oh, I'm going to lose my farm because Trump cut off benefits. I'm going to lose my farm because the Department of Agriculture no longer gives me subsidy. How many videos have you seen of black farmers doing that? That's because black farmers have historically, till this day, been excluded from all government subsidies. So right now, every white farmer is learning how to survive the same way black farmers have been surviving. Like I said, what Trump was going to do was bring every white American down to the black American level.
Well then, that about sums it up for me. I'll see y'all on the next one. You want to rebuttal that? Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't. Yeah, back to your bees. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel, and I want to thank you for all your incredible suggestions for guests.
Bruh, man, can I get my seat, man? Don't tell. I shouldn't have said here, right?
That could join me on my weekly 8 p.m. live. Now you'll see some of your favorite creators, not only on this platform, but other social media platforms, joining me every Tuesday at 8 p.m. So be on the lookout for that. Now, a lot of you guys have already signed up for my newsletter, but we're going to create a written version of the Reese Waters channel and put our stamp on it and allow us to cover some topics we can't always cover in the videos, or maybe some odds and ends that we couldn't get into the videos. It's almost like when you're in the shower and you remember that perfect line that really would have set that argument off. You know, what you really wanted to say to that ex or coworker.
I don't want to bore you any. You know I love you, I love you, I love you.
No, for real. You can sing with me without touching.
Come on.
You wasting your time by singing to me because I'm not listening.
All the stuff that I forgot and just missed that didn't necessarily make the videos, you can find that in the newsletter. You can sign up for that at reesewaters.com. There, you might also see a bunch of new merch. That's right, I teased it. It is finally here. We have new merch on the website, and we'll be continuing to drop new merch, so make sure you check that out at the website. And speaking of merch, I first want to give a shout out to all the fantastic mods, the mod squad here on the channel that does a fantastic job every single day. But one of our originals, my man Dank, sent me this pic with his I'm Troubled t-shirt, and he looks so good in it. I almost went and ordered another one for myself, but then I realized that, you know, I need to get my front porch fixed. Yeah, it's not gonna look that way on me. No, just the O and the B just be it just bow. It be look like it's a bow shirt. But in the meantime, I want to thank you guys for being such an incredible community and one that gives me so much hope when I wake up every single day.